Hello everyone, welcome to the Pathlight Thrive Hive and this latest live session with a special guest on this, Thursday evening. And yeah, it's a bit gloomy out there. I've had to put the light on for the first time in a while. So tonight we have got Rym Bennis as our special guest. She's going to be talking about nutrition for mental health. So things like lifestyle psychiatry, why we make the choices we do around food, changing people's views on how they feel about food, what foods are good for maintaining positive mental health, all that type of stuff. So I'm really looking forward to it and seeing what I can learn from this as well. So before we bring Rym in, I shall do my usual gubbins and say, if you would like to share the group, that would be lovely. We're hovering around 299 members of the group at the minute, and I've got this mental thing that I'd like to get to 300. That would be nice, and I'm going to have some kind of minor celebration when we get to 300. So you can share the group on your Facebook page, or you can just invite people in if you think, yeah, they'd learn something here. So please do that. That would be good. Thank you. And if you feel like you are enjoying the hive and getting some benefit out of it, then perhaps you'd like to send some money my way. You can do so through buymeacoffee.com/thrivehive. Thank you very much for all those people that have done so already. People buy me coffees, which cost £3, and people subscribe, which costs £7 per month. And then you get some benefits like discounts off my mental health first aid courses and priority booking for coaching calls and all that type of gubbins. So yeah, all your support is appreciated. Thank you to those people that have done so already. So as usual, if you have any comments or questions as Rym is going through her chat today, she's got a PowerPoint for us, and also she's going to be talking without PowerPoint at points as well. You can just put your questions into the comments box, and Rym probably will possibly answer them or come back to you at a later date if it isn't off the top of her head. So if you'd like us to see who you are when you're submitting your questions, you can go to that link there, streamyard.com/Facebook. You have to give StreamYard permission to share your name when you do the comments and questions. So no pressure if you don't want to do that, not a problem. So that's it, and we shall bring Rym in now. Here we go. So welcome to Pathlight Thrive Hive, Rym.
Hi, Paul. Thank you for having me this evening.
You're very welcome, and thank you for coming and sharing your knowledge and expertise with us. And as I said, I'm looking forward to seeing what I can learn about nutrition. Yeah. So yeah, do you want to just do a brief introduction so people know kind of who you are and a little bit about your background, Rym?
Yeah, sure. So I'm a nutritionist by trade, and I got into this more recently as a result of becoming a mental health first aider, which is I know a course that you lead, which I really highly recommend everyone to take if they are interested in it, because it's just changed my life and opened my mind to how I approach people and being open to mental health, which is such a big thing nowadays. And coupling that with the nutrition seemed like just the natural thing to do. And it's what I want to really get into now. So it's an area which is very close to my heart. So yeah.
Lovely. A nice glowing endorsement of mental health first aid there. I shall have the checks in the post. Thanks for that. Yeah, it is very eye-opening stuff, isn't it? That when we realise how big an issue mental health is and how powerful mental health first aid can be as an intervention. And yeah, it's lovely. You were saying before we went live that lockdown has been a bit of a gift for you in the way that you've developed your knowledge of nutrition, and that's you're looking to get into workplace well-being in the future as well.
Yes, that's right. So I think that's a big area, and just to help people recover from this pandemic once they get back into a workplace setting and get them both physically and mentally healthy, that's so important. So I think a lot of good, obviously as well as bad, has come out of this, but yeah, hopefully more positives for everyone. So
Yeah. Yeah, excellent. So yeah, something positive for the community, but also for yourself on a personal level. It feels like you're kind of very passionate about this, and you're going to be making a
I
significant difference
am.
to people's lives.
I am. Yeah, it's a big area, and I want to keep studying and keep up this interest and just further my research into it. So yeah.
Wonderful. Excellent. So apart from nutrition and mental health, what are your passions? What do you love?
So I love swimming, which I can't wait to get back into. I'm very lucky to live on the beach, so I get to go swimming in the sea when it's not gloomy like today. But yeah, and just my daughter keeps me busy, so just yeah, that really.
Yeah, great stuff. So swimming in the sea. Yes, that's
Love it. And
very
paddleboarding.
ah
Paddleboarding's great. Yeah.
right. Yeah, you got to have a good sense of balance for that.
It's not too bad. Yeah, I did a lot of yoga in my past, but anyone can get on the board. So yeah.
Great stuff. Lovely. Okay, so would you be happy to share a little bit around your own journey to becoming a nutritionist, and whether that's kind of a professional journey, and also anything you want to share around your own mental health journey as well, Rym?
Yes, of course. So I graduated as a nutritionist many years ago. I never really got into the field at the time. I got into scientific recruitment, and then as a PA. And it's been great until recently when I got given the opportunity to become a health first aider and workplace wellbeing champion in my office, and started counseling people and also my own anxiety as well. I've dealt with that for many years, and I chose not to go via the medication route. I know for everyone is so different. Obviously, some people do need medical intervention to help them get through periods in their lives, and that's fine too. But I really turned to my nutrition and my studies and to help people as well as myself. So and I feel a big difference, and I'm sure as everyone else does, if I have a good diet day, as you call it, or my 5 a day and drink tons of water, I feel less cloudy, more energized. And I just think sharing that with people, and it's such a big area that a lot of people don't know enough about, and to also raise awareness around it is really important. I think we should all be aware of each other and understanding, and that's what I'm trying to achieve, really.
Lovely. Yeah. So it's like you say, when people have mental health issues, uh, quite often first port of call is the GP, and
Yeah.
quite often the GP may prescribe antidepressants or some kind of tranquilizer, something like that, some medication.
Yeah.
I was, when I went to the doctor several years ago, when I was experiencing anxiety and depression, I thought my doctor was excellent because he gave me some options. And he said, okay, so you can have some medication, or you can try some other holistic interventions like exercise, getting out into nature, connecting with people, following hobbies, doing things you love, and food, recommending certain foods, which is a big part of how we feel. So yeah, I'm not anti-medication at all, but I think it's perhaps part of a solution for some people. But
Yeah.
it's interesting to hear that yourself, you didn't go down that route, and you went more on the kind of holistic well-being path.
Yeah. And of course, it is a struggle on a daily basis. And I think anyone dealing with anxiety or depression, it is an ongoing, each day's got its new challenges, and you have good days and bad days. And it's just learning to manage that really through whatever works for you. So exercise, like you said, I think everyone should be doing that. Or some people are more artistic. So however you feel to do that, but also diet is one of the biggest things that people really undermine. I think a lot of people view food as calories, and as opposed to just, like what it is, really nourishing yourself and your soul, and looking at food positively is a really big thing too, which I hope that everyone can definitely do if they're not already doing. So yeah.
Yeah. Excellent. Yeah, thank you for that. And I suppose eating disorders, which you will have learnt about on your mental health first aid course as well. That's a big factor. It's pretty prevalent in certainly the UK, and there's a lot of psychological issues underneath eating disorders. So yeah, food for some people is just fuel, like I say. Sometimes for some people it's just calories, but that old adage of we are what we eat, and it really does affect our mental well-being as well as our physical well-being.
Yeah, and I think it's important for certainly with obesity, that one of the big things that studies have found is if teenage mothers who are pregnant, or young mothers or expectant mothers who eventually, have their children, is educating children from a young age as to how they view food and making it a fun thing, and introducing a wide, varied diet, and that will then filter through into their future and so on. So I think teaching about children at a young age is really key. And also to battling things like depression, and young girls conceptualize their bodies from age 7. So anorexia can start as young as that, and bulimia and things. So it's really, being aware of that too. But that's the other aspect of food and mental health. There's so many, different parts of this. I mean, today, obviously, we're going to focus on what you can do to help, depression and anxiety, but those are other factors that people should bear in mind.
Excellent. Yeah. Wow, 7 years old. So sowing the seeds early as regards to nutrition and also awareness of mental health is very key. So it's good to have that education, good to have that knowledge as adults, and we can pass that on to our children. And hopefully it's something that gets talked about more in schools as well. That would be wonderful.
And making it fun as well, and trying out recipes, and even if it's basic things like making Rice Krispie cakes or whatever, but as long as you're baking at home and making things from scratch yourself, then it doesn't really matter having that cake or because you can limit what you put in there, and just making it fun, really.
Yes. Yeah, we had a lady on the Hive last month, I think it was, and I think she said that food isn't the problem. There's no such thing as a bad food. The dose is the problem. So if you're having one Rice Krispie cake, not a problem. If you're having 12, okay, that's might be a problem.
Yeah.
Okay, so is there anything else that you wanted to raise at this point before we bring the PowerPoint in, Rym?
Not really. Yeah, so this evening I thought it would just be easiest, because it is such a big field, just to condense a few key points into a presentation, and then do some questions or have a discussion if people would like to do so.
Yeah, great. Excellent. So yeah, folks, if you want to ask any comments or ask any questions or submit any comments as we go through the PowerPoint, then please do so, and we will attempt to address them, or Rym will attempt to address them at the end. Okay.
Try.
Yeah, so here we go.
Great. Okay.
Right, so
well, thank you for tuning in. So this is Nutrition for Mental Health. So first of all, it's important to look at what is mental health. Everyone has mental health. It's a person's condition in relation to their psychological and emotional well-being. It affects how we think and feel, and it's the mental ill health that causes depression, anxiety, schizophrenia, and other disorders. Recently, there's been a term coined, which is lifestyle psychiatry, and lifestyle factors related to behaviors that an individual can change, such as diet, physical activity, sleep, alcohol, and substance use. Now, there's been a big link recently between diet quality and mental health. So, for example, if you have a mental disorder like schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, or you're more at risk of chronic physical diseases, and vice versa. So if you've got a chronic physical illness such as heart disease, you're more likely to suffer from depression. So there is that link that comes into play. It's important to look at a whole diet, a whole an approach is that the whole of your diet and not just single out individual foods. So like the Mediterranean diet is very good, and looking at key foods such as fruits and vegetables, and because they all have inflammatory responses within the body, and that's what causes depression essentially. So inflammation, let's look at that. It's a chronic activation of the body's immune system, and it's our body's stress response. So the molecules that are released as part of this are directly thought to influence the risk for heart disease, cancer, and also depression. And it's Western diets are the worst for that, especially high sugar, high fat, and that can cause inflammation. So here are some factors contributing to inflammation. So I'll let you have a little look at that. So those are the key things. And these can hinder recovery.
So this is all kind of, sorry, Rym, it's all kind of self-care stuff really, isn't it? It's
exactly. Yeah, that's right. So, I mean, we all know this, but the foods that you shouldn't consume or consume in moderation, calorie-dense diets, high fats, and simple carbohydrates. It's been shown that people with mental disorders have elevated intakes of these. And equally, I think if you are suffer from obesity or depression, then you are going to turn to those things for comfort. So comfort eating and binge eating, so they go hand in hand. So your gut, so the gut's a very big part, and I'm sure everybody's heard about their gut health and diets for your gut, and it's really the engine of our immune system, and it trains our immunity when we're babies and infants, and eventually it's all the signals that go to your brain. Most of your signals, go to your brain, but about 10% go to your gut. So when you're stressed, it doesn't only affect your mind, it also affects your gut, which is why there is such a key relationship between the two. So brain plasticity, that's one crucial factor. There's a part of your brain called the hippocampus, and it's connected to learning and memory, and it's also linked to mental health. So diet has a very key part in that also. And there's the gut-brain axis as well, which is the communication between the GI tract and your central nervous system. So it's all very interlinked with how it communicates with each other. There's also oxidative stress and nitrosative stress, and they will lead to an imbalance. And individuals who are depressed often present a lower antioxidant capacity. That's why when you read about, making sure you eat antioxidant healing foods and things like that, it's very important. And high fruit and vegetable diets can offer a great deal of these antioxidants. So your immune response, it leads to an inflammatory response, and that's due to the release of cytokines and chemokines, which is what causes that inflammation. So the foods that you can have in your diet which will help are nuts and fiber. So there's a lot of research into fiber, and I think that's really a key food that, if you're going to up anything, it should be your fiber intake, but also to maybe have a handful of nuts a day. So that's really important for health. As you can see here, there's a study that was done on mice, and they found that a high fiber diet really helps that mucosal membrane, so that you don't have those fiber degrading microbiota. They don't, get into your system if you have a large intake of fiber. Then again, there's omega-3 fatty acids. You've probably heard that a lot, and that's very important. I mean, I know, Paul, you're vegan, and you can take those as a supplement, but for those of you who do eat fish, make sure you have 3 portions a week, and 2 of those ideally to be oily fish. Mediterranean diets are great, and yes, that does include red wine. So a glass of red wine is very good for your health and also good for your mental health, as long as you're not overdoing it once in a while. That, you know, that does help. And chocolate as well is part of that. So use of olive oil, consumption of dairy, just everything in key, really. And there's so many lovely recipes, you know, it's Mediterranean diet. So, and here you can see more visual aid around that. So it gives you kind of more of an indicator as to how much and the portions. And I'm happy to share this presentation with anyone post this. So if they want me to send it to them as a PDF, please do pop me a note, and then happy to send that across. But that's the kind of just what you should be aiming for daily and weekly. And water, I think water is so important. So up to 8 cups a day. Fermented foods. Now, there's been a lot of research around this, and I mean, they are helpful. And I think in a lot of societies, like Asian societies, where they have kimchi every day, and also in Indian cultures, they have kefir and things. They are very, very good for your health. And in this country, there's been a lot of studies around yogurt intake. So, and daily yogurt intake is a fermented food, and that really helps with your gut balance and helping achieve that. So make sure and it can be soy yogurts if you're vegetarian. It doesn't have to be dairy itself. Probiotics and prebiotics. So there's a difference between those. Probiotics are live organisms, bacteria that have health benefits. You've probably heard lactobacillus and those little drinks that you get. And then prebiotics are actual food sources, so artichokes, beans, onions, and bananas. So already I'm sure everyone is having those daily, because you do cook with onions, or, you know, have banana as a snack and things.
And I think it's really important to get lots of probiotics if we're on antibiotics, isn't it? Because the antibiotics actually kill all the good bacteria as well as the nasty infections that we get.
That's right. And there is you've got millions of bacteria within your body, and that cohabit with your system. So it's important to keep a balance of those. And there's also obviously nutraceuticals for mental health. So that's vitamins and supplements. So like I mentioned, so omega-3 fatty acids, if you can't actually, if you don't get your sources from fish. Vitamin D, I mean, obviously getting out into the sunshine when we can, but it's quite limited in this country. So there are studies that you should be intaking vitamin D supplements from the months of September to, say, April, when it gets a bit lighter. And of course, St. John's wort. But with any of these, please, not vitamin D and things, but always consult with your physician, but especially St. John's wort and those kind of remedies, especially if you're taking antidepressants. They can have contraindicative effects. And polyphenols, like I said, that includes chocolate, which is my favorite. So I was quite happy to see that in there. But obviously always go for dark chocolate if you can, and berries and oranges, also part of that group. So there's a lot of practical tips that you can take. So it's meal and snack options that require minimal preparation. So getting canned foods. So you don't always have to have fresh. Sometimes, if I'm very busy at work or on the go, I tend to keep some frozen fruit and veg in, just at hand. And it's just great and that still counts as part of your 5 a day. So it doesn't have to be expensive. Eating healthy doesn't have to be expensive. Affordability, accessibility, and storage. Those are 3 other key things. And, takeaway is okay. Just what you choose to have it as a takeaway. I mean, there's nothing wrong with a really nice Thai curry. It's all freshly prepared. So, and obviously within moderation, or cooking it at home is always best.
Lovely.
That's it from me. So
that's great.
Now, but yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. Lots of information in there. Wow. I've noted down lots of questions that I want to ask, but if anyone else who's watching has any comments or questions on that, then please send them through in the comments now. So whilst we're waiting for those to come through, is it okay if I ask you some questions, Rym?
Please do, yeah.
Okay, so you mentioned towards the end there around snacks. And I've heard various contradictory information around snacking. And I suppose I was brought up to have 3 decent sized meals per day and not snack. And that's kind of how I've lived my life. I haven't snacked at all. And I've seen that some research that backs that up. And I've also seen that some research that says, well, actually, no, we're supposed to graze all day and just snack on nuts or fruit, because that's what we would have done when we lived back on the savannah. So I just wondered if you had a personal view on whether snacking is a good thing or whether you shouldn't do it at all, or something in between.
I think it's a great thing. I think the key thing is to getting organized with your food and your snacks, especially if you work in an office environment. And that's what the most important thing is, because snacking is such a wide term. I mean, if you're talking about snacking, reaching for the vending machine and getting out a packet of crisps, then sure, I would not advise that. But, I think having a toddler as well, having had, children, and even if you don't, but that's really taught me a lot around snacking, because it's keeping those things in the cupboard that are good. Or for myself, I have a very sweet tooth, so I would rather have dates in the house or dried fruits or nuts, and I'd rather have a handful of those a day than, say, reaching for a chocolate bar, or and also keeping your blood sugar levels constant is really important. So if you have type 2 diabetes, you have to keep a constant steady stream of those blood sugars. And so, snacks are really important in that scenario. Obviously the right snacks, like a banana, which really, release slow energy. And so I personally would advocate snacking. It's the right type of foods.
Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, other than those examples that you gave there around diabetes and toddlers, are always hungry, it seems. Is it a case of snacking is good, or just snack if you're hungry or if you feel your energy dropping?
So for toddlers and young children, there's a whole thing, and I probably will eventually do a piece around that. But it is very important to give children snacks constantly throughout the day, more important than in adults. So definitely, and fruit and even things like, I mean, for us, like hummus and rice cakes, and so everything that she'll have, I'll tend to have too, and it's not a bad thing. Like my diet's improved so much more having had a child. But I think it's when I have those key things, and shopping in advance is such a big deal, and having, your larder stocked up and your fridge stocked up, I think makes a big difference.
Excellent. Yes. Oh, look, it's Auntie Jackie saying, hi, Rym.
Hi.
There we go. And a couple of questions. So we've got Becky. Why is it that people with dementia gravitate to eating a lot of sweet foods? And what can be done to improve that craving they seem to have? And not just people with dementia, I crave sweet food as well. Any thoughts on that at all?
I'll be honest, Becky, I'm really sorry. I'll write a note down on that and I'll get back to you. I actually don't know about dementia as a condition in itself to be able to say why. So maybe there's a certain obviously your brain works in a certain way, in a different way. So I'm not quite sure. I don't know if eating a lot of sweet foods, I couldn't think exactly why.
That's fine.
I'm not sure, unless it's like a comfort thing, or sweet foods. Obviously, we all know that sugar breeds this unhealthy pattern in your body. So when you crave sugar and then you give your body sugar, you then have a slump and then a high, and then so it messes up, your whole system. So then you are reaching for that next high again. So you are likely to then go for another sugary, treat again. So, but I can look into that. That's really interesting. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for that, Rym, and thanks for the question, Becky. I do remember reading or watching something about this, and my memory is very sketchy, but I think it was something about part of the brain is dying with dementia, and maybe the receptors that crave the sweet food are more front and center. I don't know, and they get activated more because something has been switched off.
Like a switch. That's really interesting.
Maybe, but I mean, sugar generally is incredibly addictive, isn't it?
It's more addictive than crack cocaine. It really is. It's the biggest drug, if you would, in our modern day society. I mean, obesity is one of the biggest killer, if not the biggest killer in the world. So yeah, certainly.
Yeah, and so many foods have got added sugar in.
And hidden sugars, I mean, and labels, that's another thing you've really got to watch out. Misleading labels, and also these snacks that mask themselves as healthy, like these fruit and fiber bars, again, probably very little fiber, all sugar. So
yeah, and you say the labeling as well, it's things like fructose and sucrose and agave syrup and stuff like that, which might be a little bit better than refined sugar, but it's still sugar.
But it's still sugar, right?
So yeah, I always like to, when I'm in the supermarket, whatever, I will look at the nutritional information on whatever it is, bottle of squash or energy bars and stuff, and just look at the sugar content and the salt and the fat, because those are the three nasties that I look at. Yeah, that's right. So many things at 25% sugar, Frosties. Ooh, blimey.
I know. And if you think 1 teaspoon is 6 grams. So if you keep that in mind, and it's the same with salt, 6 grams is your maximum allowance a day. I think they've raised it to 8 grams now because it's so unrealistic. But if you stick to 6 grams, then yeah.
Hi. Excellent. Thank you for that. So Karen, so you mentioned 8 glasses of water, which I think it's about 2 litres, isn't it? Something like that. And Karen's saying, I drink quite a lot of traditional tea, builder's tea. What is the effect of that? Any idea?
So my take on this is I don't think it's as good as drinking water in itself. The recommendations are to have up to 8 cups a day. Obviously, it's not, and also that's not realistic for everybody, and not everyone likes drinking that much water. And I tips around that is you can get some very natural not syrups, I'm trying squashes. So if you get, organic squashes, or even flavor your water yourself at home, and if you prefer warm drinks, well, there's nothing wrong with that. In China and these countries, they live on green tea, and that's amazing for your health, and that does count as part of that. But I would say maybe having like a mint tea, or if you would prefer to have a warm drink, and that's fine too, as long as you're having, that within those amounts. So, but it all counts. Obviously, it's better than nothing at all.
Yeah, I know that some drinks are classed as diuretics, which I think means that it kind of takes more water out of the body than it puts into it. And
coffee's one of those. So for I think it's some ridiculous things. So up to 8 glasses of water are taken away when you drink certain amounts of caffeine drinks and things. It actually takes water away from your body, and
right. So maybe that also applies to builder's tea, which I think it's got antioxidants in, which you mentioned earlier, but maybe it's also slightly diuretic. Okay, and Becky is saying thank you. Yes, it does seem to affect nutrition, meaning they don't eat properly, and that leads to more problems. Yeah, because it's cyclical, isn't it? What we put in our body, and that brings me back to one of the questions I was going to ask, which is you were talking about things like diabetes and mental illness and how poor diet feeds into that. And also with sugar, you have that picture of donuts, and I like donuts. And when we are feeling depressed or anxious or have another mental health issue, we're more likely to reach for the donuts, the fatty, sugary foods, which are comforting, and there's that addictive aspect to them as well. So do you see it as a kind of a two-way street, that if we eat those bad, sugary, fatty foods, that's more likely to give us mental health issues, and also if we've got those mental health issues, we're more likely to reach for them, and it becomes a bit of a negative spiral?
Yes, so there is that aspect. I think there's obviously, if you're clinically depressed and you've been you've gone to a doctor or under psychiatric care, and that is your diagnosis, then that's very different. But there is the other aspect, which is the social aspect. So being at home, say you want to lose weight, or you're not feeling great about your body, and you reach for these sugary snacks, it's kind of sometimes you can get into a pattern, and I know I'm talking from experience, where you hate your own body and you're eating, to fill a void, or when you're depressed, you are filling something. So whether you're using drugs or food, as that kind of thing, to fill something that's not there. And then of course the bigger you get, you just don't feel good about yourself. So, and you can get into this pattern, and it does become a vicious circle.
Yeah, I did a video probably a couple of months ago now on the Hive about my own experiences of self-harming behaviors, and one of the ways that manifests with me is with eating, so overeating. Yeah. And also reaching for the sugary foods, the banana loaf, the vegan donuts, the dark chocolate. And it is exactly what you said. It's filling the void. So if in the past, when I've been feeling depressed, lonely, whatever it is, I will reach for food as a source of comfort to fill that hole. I think it's a massive issue for a lot of people.
Yeah. And there is the opposite, of course. There are people who lose weight when they're stressed. They just don't eat anymore. And that's kind of something that they're controlling in that way as well. So it's the same. So if, whether you're underweight or overweight, you might still need to see a nutritionist for those reasons too. It's not just being overweight.
Yeah, absolutely. And it also plays into what you were saying about anorexia and bulimia earlier on, and that the sense of control around what those people put into their bodies, and how they view themselves. They still see themselves as fat, perhaps, or not good enough, even when they are clinically in danger of
that's right.
serious
and I
health
think
issues.
Yeah, and also that's why, breakfast obviously is a very key part of your day, because you need that energy to fuel your brain. You've been fasting all night. But I think if you start your day right, and it's also when you go to the gym, you feel really good mentally, that you just want to keep feeding your body good things. So if you start your day grabbing a croissant on the go, and you're stressed and you're rushing and you're flustered, you're more than likely to then, get worse food throughout the day. There's nothing wrong with that on an odd weekend, but if you start your day with porridge or the right balanced foods, or even a boiled egg or a poached egg, then you're less likely to then put bad things into your body. So starting the day right is really important.
That's an excellent tip, I think. And we could really extend that to holistic practices like a meditation first thing in the morning, or some positive mantras around what you're grateful for, or feeling good about yourself. Because if we start off, like you say, stressed or feeling bad about ourselves, we're more likely to reach for the croissant.
You beat yourself up. Yeah.
And beating yourself up. So that's that negative spiral again. Yes, okay. So Jackie's saying, if I don't drink enough water during the day, she gets the most awful headaches. Yes, I know some people who do that as well. Do you understand why that is, that people get headaches if they're dehydrated?
I'm not sure of the exact mechanism, but it is definitely a key. It's just your body's way. It's basically a warning from your body telling you need that, because your body is 70% water. And, you need to keep that brain balance up as well. So if you think all your cells are bathed in water and your system relies on it, your overall system shuts down eventually if you don't have enough fluid. And I think that's something that a lot of people don't do enough. And that's one of the main things I advocate. My family hate me. I'm constantly shoving water bottles in their faces, and friends and things. And another thing you can look at is dark circles under your eyes. That's another determining factor for if you're dehydrated.
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, so all these signs, headaches, whatever our body is doing, it's telling us something's not right, isn't it? So
that's
headaches
right, yeah.
quite often be dehydration. Okay, so I'm not sure who this is, but other than hydration, what foods would you suggest to maintain consistent energy throughout the day?
Sure. So I think carbohydrates is a really big thing. I think, people are like, oh, I'm on a carb-free diet and I'm cutting out bread. And I really disagree with that. I think if you're having the right carbs in the right moderations, so I think it's about 30 grams you should be having, 30%, sorry, carbohydrates. So if you look at that key and the eat well plate as well. So, I can share that as well on if you go to my Facebook page or Facebook Om Nutrition page, or even my website, eventually I will be uploading all of that. But yeah, I think just keeping that so sustained, and also fiber, that's so important. That's going to give you energy, the right energy throughout the day. But it's those slow releasing carbohydrates. So maybe some sweet potatoes and rice and all those, and they're all really lovely foods to have, and you shouldn't cut them out. So
Yeah, there was a bit of a trend maybe a few years ago around GI, low GI index and high GI index.
I was going to talk about that. That's right. So people who are on a type 2 diabetes or specific diet for certain conditions, so low GI diet, and it's based on a food index. So basically there's certain foods such as pita bread, which again release energy more slowly into your bloodstream and consistently throughout the day, so you don't have those slumps.
Okay. And you mentioned porridge earlier as a good start to the day. I find that when I have porridge, that gives me energy, keeps me full for a lot longer than a bowl of muesli, for example.
Yeah, definitely. And it's got less sugar in, than the muesli.
Yeah.
So
great. Okay. And Becky, yes, so I'm thinking of Marcus and tapping when you mentioned cravings. Yeah, so Marcus Abraham came into the Hive. He's a holistic practitioner, and he's done various different talks in the Hive, hypnotherapy, and the one Becky's talking about is EFT. Have you heard of emotional freedom technique at all? So that's where you can overcome addictions or blocks in your life if you're trying to stop smoking, or you're not feeling good about yourself. Or the example that I gave when we did the live demonstration was cravings for food. And wanting to eat even though I'm not hungry. So you tap various meridian points and recite a mantra. So yeah, thank you for that reminder, Becky. That's it worked for me for at least for a few days. So yeah, maybe I can try that again. Great. Okay. So if you've got any more comments or questions, folks, if you can fire them through in the next couple of minutes. Another thing that came to my mind, Rym, when you were talking about gut health and those probiotics, prebiotics, it reminded me of, I think it's the Native American Indians that say that your gut is brain number 1, your heart is brain number 2, and this thing in your head is brain number 3. And
that's very true. Yeah.
So it's a bit of a mantra for me, that not just with food, but in life in general, I feel things in my gut. I see it as my intuition, and then feelings in the heart, and then the old intellect kicks in as well. But there is a massive link, isn't it, as you touched on in your presentation, between gut health and brain health. And is it the vagus or vagal nerve that kind of runs between?
Yes, so there's the brain axis, the back to the presentation, the gut-brain axis. That's it. So and I've got a lot more information on that, but I didn't want to go too deep into that side of it, but I'm more than happy to share that with you. So
thank you. Yeah. And you kindly offered to share the presentation. That's great. What we can do, if it's okay with you, if you want to email it across to me, I can put it in the Hive in the resources section, and then anyone can just download it from there if they're interested.
Please do.
Excellent. Thank you. Okay, and could you perhaps briefly cover your thoughts on the ketogenic high-fat, low-carb diets? I have no idea what that means.
Yeah, so that's the keto diet, which is basically having a lot of fat into your diet and high carbs. And that coupled with fasting is very good. I think anything in moderation like that, so any form of diet on that level, I don't think you should rely on solely and only use for periods at a time. But actually, fasting mimics the ketogenesis in your body, and so that's why intermittent fasting is so good, because it does regulate all of your blood sugars and gets all your hormones in balance. And so I think the odd day fast here and there is very good for you and very beneficial. But again, I wouldn't rely on that, as a diet solely long term, because it isn't sustainable. I think you can't just have full fat all the time. Even if they are the right fats, I think your body needs a balance of everything, and a good combination. So
Yeah, sounds like good advice. So you can't do donut day, McDonald's day, fast day. That's not going to work.
well, I don't think you shouldn't have your cheat day as like 1 trillion calories, but I think having the odd day, like as your treat, where you might have, okay, I'll have my pizza on that day, and that's not a bad thing, just to have that little goal at the end of the week, because otherwise I think life would be boring if you're just constantly, I must have my, and it's nice. So
yeah, I've got a couple of friends who do fasting on a regular basis, and I haven't tried it myself, but I am intrigued. So how frequently would you recommend having a fast?
I personally say, obviously, please always discuss this with your GP if you're under care for any form of, any conditions, underlying medical conditions. But I would say once every 10 days would be good, or more. So you can do different kind of fasts. There's, I don't know, there's various ones you can do, but I think half a day here and there just to cleanse your body. And it could be a full fast. So no water, no nothing, just to really clean everything out. And that really helps.
Wow. Okay. I'm committing to give that a try. Oh, sorry, I lost you for a moment there, but yes, thank you. What I said was I'm going to commit to trying that. I've never fasted, but I'm going to give it a go.
I can look into that more. I don't really know about all the different, because there are so many, there's books just, dedicated to that and things like that, fasting diets. But I think once in a while, it is very good for you to do that.
Wonderful. Okay, so yeah, any final questions, fire them into us now. Is there anything else, Rym, that you feel we haven't covered that's important to raise at all?
Not really. I think just be kind to yourself and just really, listen to your body and yourself and what you need at the time, and loving yourself. That's such a big thing. And practicing that's really important.
Yeah, so maybe tuning into the body, which it does give us messages. It tells us what it needs.
That's right.
Treating ourselves well,
Mm-hmm.
because it is so connected with mental health, but also being compassionate if we are having a pizza day. It's okay now and again.
Exactly.
Yeah, great stuff. Lovely. Well, I feel like I've learned a lot there, so thank you very much again.
Thank you for having me. And yes, so Becky, I will get back to you on the dementia question, and I will look into that. So,
great.
Thank
you. Very kind. So yeah, thanks for your time, your expertise. Oh, we've got one final question. How many hours should we fast for?
I personally wouldn't do it for more than half a day here and there, just because your system, especially, it might be a shock at the beginning. When you get more into it and you get more used to it, then you can try a whole day or certainly 8 hours. But I think at first, just for half a day here and there, it really doesn't do your body that much of harm.
Okay. And Karen found it interesting, so thank you very much.
Thank you, Karen.
And Becky as well. Lovely. So yeah, if you're happy to email me through the presentation, that would be great. I'll put it on the Hive, folks, in the resources section. And so thank you once again, Rym. And
thank you.
I hope to connect again with you soon.
Definitely. Take care. Thanks.
Okay.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. yeah, lots to learn there, eh? So yeah, be kind to yourself and listen to your body, and lots of important information to take in. So yeah, I'm going to have a go at fasting. Who wants to have a go at fasting with me? We could be fasting buddies. Try out half a day maybe next week, and then a full day the week after. Let me know if you fancy it. We can compare notes. Okay, so just a reminder, if you'd like to share the group or invite people in, that would be great. Thank you very much. And if you would like to send some money, if you found that useful today, or if you find the Hive useful in general, then if you can go to buymeacoffee.com/thrivehive, send me £3 or subscribe for £7 a month. That would be wonderful. Thank you very much indeed. So what day is it today? Thursday. So Friday, probably not a lot happening tomorrow. Probably do a walk and talk. But exciting news. We've got 2 new things coming into the Hive. The first is starting a week tomorrow, Jaffa. Do you remember Jaffa Hussain, who came in to talk about NLP, Neuro-Linguistic Programming? Well, he and his friend are going to be doing a Tools for How to Live Your Life session every Friday at 10:30 in the morning for about 90 minutes, offering all sorts of wonderful things from the NLP world and from his other wisdom as well, covering stuff like mental health, anxiety, and lots of other things that I can't remember off the top of my head. So yeah, that's going to be great. A week tomorrow that kicks off, 10:30 in the morning. And yeah, the recordings will be on the Hive for you to watch back if that's not a convenient time for you. So looking forward to that myself. And there is also another contributor who's going to be bringing something very exciting to the Hive in about 2 to 3 weeks' time on a Wednesday, I believe. So I'm going to kind of just dangle a carrot there and not tell you what it is yet. But yeah, lots of new stuff happening, and Sundays are still a bit of a desert at the moment. So if you would like to offer something on a Sunday, either just for 1 week or for 6 weeks or until the end of time, then just send me a message if you feel you've got anything around holistic health, well-being. We've got book clubs going on Saturday, stuff like that. Connection, meditation, whatever it is, you've probably got something that you can offer, and you're probably thinking, oh no, I couldn't do that. Yes, you could. Yes, you could. You'll be fine. So just let me know if you feel you might have something to offer. Let's just have a chat about it. And then we could get something in the Hive every day of the week again. That'd be super. Lovely. Right. So the Hive rocks, says Jackie. Yes, it does. I totally agree with you. And it is most important to learn all of this. Wonderful. Thank you, everybody, for your, what do we call it? Interaction. That's the word. Yeah, I think I'm a bit tired today. I'm struggling to find words that normally are not hard to find. So I better go and have an early night and not have a bowl of cereal. Okay, Sunday singing. What an excellent idea, Becky. If only I knew of a singing teacher. The other thing I've been thinking about is group walk and talks. So as the lockdown continues to ease, I thought maybe a Sunday morning walk might be good for those of us who are in the Saddleworth area. And maybe you could organise your own if you're elsewhere in the world. So yeah, whatever. Let's have a chat about it. And Becky, if you want to give me a call, send me a message, and we'll see what we can get organised. It would be great to have some kind of communal thing going on, whether it's singing on Zoom or walking through the countryside or talking or connecting in some lovely way, and maybe learning something at the same time. Brilliant. Okay, so that's all for tonight, and maybe see you tomorrow for a walk and talk. And thanks again for being here. Take care and goodbye.